So we are here now to have a feature showcase of Yogibear. Rhythm Views would be showcasing their work of Yogibear and trailers of movies they have worked on. E. Sesha Prasad, head of production, India and Malaysia, would be here today speaking to you guys. And we have Jatin Thakkar. Jatin Thakkar is currently working as a lead compositor with Rhythm Views Studios India. Some of the projects he has worked on are Yogibear, Night and Day, The Incredible Hulk, Superman Returns, The Golden Compass, Land of the Lost, Garfield 2, Alvin and Chipmunks. He started his career as a journalist doing 3D and compositing, and he has worked on a couple of Hindi films and TV serials now. I have a round of applause for our speakers, please. Can I call and say Prasad?
Thank you, Chan. It's always a pleasure to be associated with CGTantra, and I'm very happy to be here to be a part of this event. I'm sure that a lot of you is going to benefit from this event and get to know a lot more things and learn things and probably be a part of the industry. Anyways, so let me give you a brief heads up about the company. I'm going to do the introduction bit and talk to you a little bit about the company, and then probably Jatin will take you through Yogi. We did a little bit of a shuffling. Previously we had committed that we'll show only a little bit of Yogi. We managed to get permissions to show some clips from a movie called Hop, which was Illumination's next big movie, which came out the remaining parts of the world already. I think it's supposed to come out in India sometime soon, or I'm not really sure it's already come out. So let me talk to you a little bit about the company. We are into visual effects and animation for feature films and television commercials. We've been in this business for the last 24 years. We started in India about 10 years back, and we started off doing small subsections of the work, and we slowly, steadily grown to do the entire range of work in India and Malaysia. So let me talk a little bit. Okay, we are about over 1,200 employees. We are about globally, we are about 350 odd people in India, and we are about 125 people in Malaysia. So we started off as a small mom and pop shop and grew on to become a very big mom and pop shop. And the basic idea with which we started was the company has been formed by artists and programmers. We are a company which wanted to try very hard to create an organization which takes care of our people, and we wanted to create an environment where people enjoy doing work. They get up in the morning, look forward to going to work, and would love to work with similar minded people, and where we like to treat our employees fairly and treat them with respect. And obviously the core fundamental reason a person should come and work is just focus on their work, not having to look behind their back that somebody is going to stamp their head and go move forward and so on and so forth. So basically we try to create an environment where people enjoy doing the work that they're doing. So, and that's what we started off with, really idealistic and things like that. A lot of times, and it's been pretty successful, and we seem to be doing something right, which is being able to grow from a small studio with about 20-30 people to over 1,200 people right now. We started off in India about 10 years back right now, and we started by doing simple work. We started basic work like rotoscopy and tracking at that point of a time, and we slowly grew, and our talent pool grew, and a lot of our people who joined us at that point of a time are leads and soups and dealing with the teams right now. Currently we do, when I say the entire range of work, modeling, texturing, look development, animation, technical animation, which is first simulation and first generation, and then we do FX. We have a bunch of very talented FX artists working predominantly. The FX side of things is predominantly done in Houdini. All the other everything else is done in our proprietary software. And then we also have the lighting and the compositing team, which work on final composites right out here in Mumbai, Hyderabad, and Kuala Lumpur. So we do the entire range of work, and from end to end. These are some of our office pictures, and typically for environment, like I said, we like to walk or talk in terms of the environment we provide to our office. And these are some of the activities. It's some of the movies that we work on, a lot of animals involved, so we could just hire elephants to study the elephant to make things, sculpting things. Some of our artists at work, this is a Hyderabad office, again, very typical environments. And we also, when we won an Academy Award for the movie Golden Compass, the visual effects supervisor, Bill Westenhofer, came over to Mumbai and the Hyderabad offices, and there's the Oscar statue which is there. And we had pictures, people taking pictures, in all the individual places. And almost 200 people contributed on the movie, which was pretty significant. For a lot of people, it was their first movie, probably students like you who worked on it, and probably you can't start off at a better height than winning an Oscar in the first movie they worked on. So that was a great achievement there, and we've been nominated several times. Then we started our Kuala Lumpur office actually about 2 years back, and we've grown to about 125 to 130 people right now locally, and we in fact got a lot of those people to be coming and working out of our India facilities to be trained and sent back, and they're doing the entire range of work. We right now completed entire sequence for a movie called Popper's Penguins. And this is a demonstrative clip. For example, on one single shot, the tracking or the camera tracking and match moving was done in Kuala Lumpur. The animation was done in one in Hyderabad. The actual look development and the costumes and design and development was done in Mumbai. And the final comp in this case, for this particular shot, the lighting and comp was done in Los Angeles. So the way we work, it's not like an entire sequence of work is thrown across the wall and people are not expected to finish that and send it out in one location. But on one single shot, the entire range of work can be distributed. And a similar next shot, for example, I think this is, again, it's getting a little stuck, but there was another shot in which it was all the way around. For example, the tracking was still done in KL, the look development was done in Mumbai, whereas the animation was done in Los Angeles, and the final comp was done in Hyderabad. So the way we work is we have resources, we have lighters, animators, compositors in multiple locations. Based on the show and based on where the people are available, the work gets distributed. And the people work on the show on that particular basis. So currently, that's the way our workflow works. So that's why I say it's not a typical outsourcing thing where people send a complete sequence and expect that to be done and come back. So every given day, every department works closely with our supervisors to make sure that the work is delivered, and they are expected to deliver the same quality as work coming from anywhere across the world. So that is something which we have fared successfully, and it's not like it's come easy. We had to learn and grow, and pretty much a lot of the people who joined us were freshers, who got trained and have become leads in various areas. A lot of people joined us in camera tracking and match moving, and then they went on to become leads in camera tracking, then they went to become lighters, then they became lighting leads, or some of them became animators, became animation leads. Some of our prep artists are some of our comp leads, or they're going to become comp supervisors at this point of a time. So what I'm going to do is to best demonstrate some of this work which was done in Yogi. I'm going to call Jatin, who's been with this company for about 9 years, and is one of the most senior people in RNH. So Jatin will take it over from here. I'll come back for a later stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Prasad. Good afternoon, everyone. So I think the introduction is already done. I won't go through that process. Let's start off with the Yogibear, which is what we have planned to showcase you to guys. So some facts about the Yogibear. The project was one with this film, and we have a VFX supervisor, Betsy Patterson. She was also one of the supervisors for Incredible Hulk. As I said, this was our first stereo project, and we also were the co-producer on this film. Now, the next slide, what I have is a little bit about stereoscopy. I'm sure everyone must be aware about the stereoscopy because that's the trend now going on in the industry. So, as we all know, that stereoscopy basically has to do something with both the eyes, the left and the right. So, for this particular project, we had to have our own made the camera rig for it, which had the left and the right, the two cameras, and sometimes they were mirrors, sometimes they were in the L shape, depending on the shot requirement. There was a new stage which we had introduced here, which was the stereo QC stage. That's what the stereo quality control. Now, this particular stage was responsible for getting the left and the right images precisely. Okay, because while shooting it, you may not get both of them as correct, in spite of having both the cameras locked tight and all that stuff. So this was the stage which was involved, which actually helped us a lot down the line in the pipeline, which made our production, the pipeline, pretty smooth flowing, with considering a stereo project which we were doing for the first time with Rhythm and Use. So this is the workflow, basic general workflow, where you see the IO. That's where the scanning of the images was done. Then they were passed on to stereo QC. That's what I spoke about, the stereo QC, the stage which was introduced. Then it gets passed on to tracking. Now the tracking again as a stage where we all know about Match Move, where you replicate the live action camera to CG camera, the information. Now this has to be done twice because there were two plates, left and the right. So matching that to both the cameras was a quite challenging stuff. Then with not only with this, there are a lot of props were there in the set which were also kind of, you had to match them precisely for the left and the right eye. The parallel stage to tracking is the prep. Now this whole stereo project, the prep I believe was the most challenging part, not because I belong to that department, but in terms because we know that prep is basically you prepare the background plate, which can be used down the line by the rest of the pipeline. Now in this thing, I would say it was very challenging in terms of, because in terms of painting, when you are supposed to paint anything, you are supposed to remove a wire or you are supposed to remove any kind of prop, that same amount of the pixels had to be replicated for the right eye. Otherwise, you will not get the proper conversions during the stereo. Then after doing the prep, the whole big background plate is made official, and then it gets passed on to anim, light, and the other various departments. However, for the other departments like the modeling, the texturing, the look dev, the animation, the workflow remained the same as for a non-stereo project. And as for the lighting and compositing is concerned, most of the all the time the things were worked on the left eye and the right eye was getting copied over. Let's talk about again back to Yogibear, the evolution of the character. This Yogibear is basically, it's almost, I think it's around 1958 something, pretty old character, very famous and probably famous within the kids also now. It was Hanna-Barbera production. I think even Pink Panther is also part of it. Okay, so these are some of the images, the 2D images. Another slide for the evolution of the character. Now you can see that comparison between a 2D and a 3D over here. Now doing a 3D, it has its own challenges compared to doing a 2D animation. Certain things were not possible while doing in 2D were possible in doing a 3D. These slides showing the mood of the character. I'm sure you guys must have seen it, you must recollect it. Various moods. The look there for the character. Testing it against the neutral environment. Against the environment. Facial expressions. Slide about happy, sad.
What if you get hurt, Yogi? How about the ranger, Yogi? He isn't gonna like this.
Well, Boo-Boo, that's because I'm smarter than the average bear. He only makes that sound after he's eaten baked beans.
Different poses, testing out the rig. It was an interesting character of the film. Once you see the film, you'll come to know how important this character was for this particular film.
Say goodbye to nothing, everything.
We always do this kind of test in a neutral environment or either in an environment where how it's going to be get shot.
Picnic basket.
You know, Yogi, we could just hunt for food. All the other animals do.
Boo-boo! A picnic basket has everything a bear needs. And I'm not just talking about the treats and snacks like goodies. No, a picnic basket holds a lot more than that. It holds dreams.
What are we looking at?
I don't know. Hey, Mr. Ranger! Hey, Yogi. I'm an unstoppable water skiing machine! Wait, there's more!
It was a very interesting about this particular sequel. We had to go and have a complete wet look for the character.
Sorry, Ranger Smith. No more food, no more picnickers. How could this get any worse? Oh. What the heck was that?
Okay. It's quite a hilarious movie it was. Okay, now let's look at some of the examples. We have gathered a couple of examples for you guys to show it to you guys on the lighting and compositing. I'll just play the final shot first.
Why, if I were half the ranger my father was.
Okay, let's look at the breakdown. Stuff like this is always challenging and kind of complex in terms of be it lighting, compositing, because there is always there's an interaction between a CG and the live action one. So challenges, maybe it's like shadows. Then there is shadows again, like not only the drop shadows. There's contact shadows. Then if he's touching the character, then there has to be some kind of indentation in it. So those things are quite challenging while working on it.
I'm no smarter than you. Why, if I were half the ranger my father was.
So the reference plate, they probably shoot it at the time when they're taking the shot. Now this, you must be wondering why there is a stuffy kind of thing. This basically provides a reference to the lighters and to the compositors, kind of like how the light direction is when taking this particular shot.
I'm no smarter than you.
Raw plate.
Why, if I were half the ranger my father was.
Camera tracking. I don't have a slide for this, but at this, while doing the camera tracking, the mash move also do the mash move for the character, the ranger. He's the character over here. Because down the line, there is Boo Boo on the left side and there is Yogibear on the right side. So they both interact with him. So you have to match with this character so that that kind of contact shadows and if any kind of reflection or any kind of interaction is there to generate that and try and make the scene as real as possible.
I'm no smarter than you. Why, if I were half the ranger my father was.
It's the animation pass. It's the lighting pass. This is basically the quilt, where kind of the various passes involved in lighting, which the lighters use it, and some of them are being passed to the compositors. For the Boo Boo. And we can play the final composer.
I'm no smarter than you. Why, if I were half the ranger my father was.
So you can see that in this particular shot, Boo Boo is sitting there, that shadow is there to make him feel as if he's sitting there on the bench along with the ranger. On the other side, you see Yogibear, and let me show it to you this again. You can see there is some kind of reflection. I don't have a pointer here, but on the extreme right, you can see there's a highlight on the bench next to Yogi. So those kind of things have to be taken care while doing any kind of compositing work. So when you see the final,
I'm no smarter than you.
it's covered.
Why, if I were half the ranger my father was.
These are, it may look a little smaller, but this plays a very, very important role while doing any kind of compositing kind of work. You have to make it feel that as if it is shot in one single frame. Now imagine if that thing is not done, it's not removed, it will look very weird, right? Okay, so let's move on further. There's another example. This also is a very, very interesting and very difficult shot it was.
Not pressing your lips against my forehead.
Hey!
Yogi is almost like on the ranger. Let's see the plates.
Not pressing your lips against my forehead.
Hey,
A rough
it's a-
plate. This is what I was talking about, the match moving the character. This is the roto which was done because you need to hold the character out. Because sometimes the yogi is on top or sometimes the ranger is on the top. So you need those mats to hold them out.
Not pressing your lips against my forehead.
Hey!
Animation pass.
Not pressing your lips against my forehead.
Hey!
The lighting.
Not pressing your lips against my forehead.
Hey!
Effects, basically effects in this, when he's moving his feet, you can see some grass, the simulation is there, so those kind of things were done in the effects to make it look more real. And this is the final one.
Not pressing your lips against my forehead.
Hey!
Okay, what's next? All right, I think, okay, now what you're going to see, it's the trailer of Hop.
Go ahead, son. Take a look. Welcome to the Easter Factory. This is where we make all the candy and eggs that I deliver to the children of the world.
This is so cool!
Someday, this will all be yours. You're about to be crowned the Easter Bunny. Shouldn't you be rehearsing your speech?
Look, Dad, I want to drum in a band. I want to see the world.
Now listen to me. You need to get it together, get rid of these drums, and get your priorities straight.
My dad's right. I do need to get my act together. In Hollywood.
I came to dance.
All great artists suffer before they become famous. That lady wrote Harry Potter in a ditch. Excuse me. I'm Evie. And you are?
Fred.
please don't go. I'll behave. I'm special. I mean, I'm really special. See?
Jelly beans?
No way. Oh, yes, Fred. I am the Easter Bunny.
Hop in.
On April 1st,
My son ran away?
the sun is very difficult to replace, but not impossible.
What the? What's that on your head?
What? Oh, my new earmuffs?
We need to find EB. Assemble the pink berets at once.
The hunt is on.
You said you guys were so scary, but you're really adorable. Uh-oh.
The plot is hatched.
Carlos, what are you up to?
It's called a coup d'etat, which is French for coup d'etat. And the battle for Easter.
This is an extreme emergency. We the bosses.
Begins.
I'm back. Leave this to me. Oh, Carlos, can I touch the egg of destiny, please? Ow!
There, you touched it.
That was harsh.
Hop.
It ends here.
The more sensitive chicks in the room may want to avert their eyes.
Thank you. Okay, let's look at the making.
It's a new day, but it all feels old. It's a good life, that's what I'm told. But everything, it all just feels the same. At my high school, it felt more to me like a jail cell, a penitentiary. My time spent there, it only made me sick. And I don't ever want to be like you. I don't want to do the things you do. I'm never gonna hear the words you say. And I don't ever wanna be you. Don't wanna be just like you. All what I'm saying is this is the anthem for all
Live action means there's no CGI, it's a complete CGI
Don't
stuff.
wanna be you. Go to college or university, get a real job, that's what they said to me. But I could never live the way they want. I'm gonna get by and just do my time. I don't step while they all get in line. I'm just a minor threat, so pay no mind. Do you really wanna be like them? Do you really wanna be another trend? Do you wanna be part of that crowd? 'Cause I don't ever wanna be you.
A lot of this
Don't wanna be
environment is
just
also
like you.
modern.
Oh, what I'm saying is this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up, you. Don't wanna be you. Shake it once, that's fine. Shake it twice, that's okay. Shake it 3 times, you're playing with yourself again. What I'm saying is this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up. Y'all got to feel me. Sing if you're with me. Yeah. Don't wanna be just like you. This is the anthem. Throw all your hands up. Y'all got to feel me. Sing if you're with me. Another loser anthem. Another loser anthem. Another loser anthem. Another loser anthem.
And I think we did a significant amount of work on this movie. And I think almost 40 to 50% of the, we did about 30 to 40% of the movie out here in our international offices, and which is a significant achievement. And we were really, really happy that a lot of people could come off and pull off a lot of the work in almost 3.5 months' time. That was a big achievement. What are you working on currently? We just delivered a movie called Popper's Penguins that had Jim Carrey in it. It was the penguins which had to be returned to Antarctica. We just delivered that last week. As we speak, I think we delivered some tweaks
on Tuesday. Everybody Loves Whales is another movie before, I think it's for Universal, I think. Yes, and it has a lot of whales, a lot of water, a lot of set extensions kind of work. Moneyball is another movie with Brad Pitt on it, which it comes out later this year. It's about American baseball, how a manager tries to put together a team with just statistics in mind and lots of crowd multiplication and things like that. And we, in fact, are doing all the crowd multiplication work using our FX team in Houdini out here in Mumbai. Then Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Chipwrecked is the next Alvin and the next big movie for Alvin franchise. Alvin franchise already made $1 billion in the first two movies, and they're not going to stop with the third movie. So it's a big cash cow that they keep milking. That's again a huge show, huge number of shots. Movie comes out December 2011. And Life of Pi, again a big movie. Ang Lee, the director of the first Hulk, Ang Lee is directing this movie, and it's a book. And those of you who have not read this book, it's about a kid from Pondicherry who gets stuck on a boat and he sails with a lot of animals and so on. It's a very interesting book that's been converted into a movie. So that comes out late next year, but we expect it to finish that by June next year. Then we just got awarded this another big movie, Snow White and the Huntsman, which has the guy who acted as Thor, Charlize Theron as the evil queen, and it's again a huge show which comes out April next year. Very excited. We also, as we speak, we've just, I think our earlier peers who presented from MTC mentioned that they delivered X-Men. We did also we did a portion of the work on X-Men. So for those of you who are going to catch this movie next week, here's a quick teaser or a trailer of this movie, if you're not caught it already. We did about 4 or 5 characters, a very difficult portion of the movie.
You have the chance to become part of something much bigger than yourself.
What do you know about me?
Everything. A new species is being born. Help me guide it. Shape it. Lead it.
Time for the tour.
You have no idea what I'd give to feel normal.
You want society to accept you, but you can't even accept yourself.
Should we have to hide?
Tomorrow, mankind will know that mutants exist. They'll fear us, and that fear will turn to hatred.
Not if we stop a war. Not if we risk our lives doing so. We have a chance to be the better man.
We already are.
It shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States.
They're just kids.
No, they were kids.
Ready for this?
Let's find out.
The cost of freedom is always high. No one can foresee precisely what course it will take. One path we shall never choose. That is the path of surrender.
Listen to me very carefully, my friend. Killing will not bring you peace.
Peace was never an option.
Out here. We did only a big disclaimer, guys. Over 10 studios worked on it. We did the portions in which the transitions of the ladies were seen. I'm sure that a lot of other studios worked very hard on it, including MPC and things like that. So this trailer doesn't demonstrate our work, but it demonstrates about 10 to 12 studios who worked on it. So we did portions of the work. Any questions? Otherwise, we're pretty much done. Just as a small piece of advice, since a lot of you put up your hands in the beginning saying that you were students, please do understand that don't get intimidated by all these presentations where you see a lot of high-end visuals. Everybody has to start somewhere, and for example, in a small movie, even if we have to do 140 shots, there are about 300 to 400 people who work on those shots. And everybody has to start somewhere and contribute in a small way and slowly grow. So be sure that you get the first break somewhere and try to focus on learning and growing. And I'm sure that you'll be successful. And this is a very rewarding career. Don't expect to become rich, but it's a very rewarding career where you're going to be very happy with what you're doing. Finally, if that's what you're looking for, then obviously you can lead a very comfortable life doing really what you love doing. That's the reason why we're all here. We love doing what we're doing. And I'm sure that there are a lot of opportunities available, not only from Rhythm and Hues, but a lot of other companies all around. I'm sure there's a big job fair happening. Apart from that, we are around. If you have any questions, we'll stick around to answer your questions. Otherwise, I'll hand it back to Chan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, people.